Lee, good morning and welcome to TNT. How do you feel?
Good morning. Well, thanks for having me. I'm good, thank you.
Good, good. Well, we're glad to see you, and we've got a topic to talk about here that's raising a few eyebrows among ecclesiastical circles. The Church of England are converting, or people are converting to Christianity from Islam in the Church of England, which is quite incredible because I think they're finding it difficult enough to get people in through the doors that are professing Christians to begin with, let alone people going apostate from Islam and turning to Christianity. Could it have something to do with the fact that it gives them a leg up when it comes to their asylum status, or are they having genuine Paul on the road to Damascus conversion experiences in the Church of England under the devil's imp, Justin Welby himself?
It's a huge scandal. I mean, recently we've had reported that 40 asylum seekers on the Bibby Stockholm barge are converting to Christianity. That's almost 1 in 7 migrants on that barge. And we also had another recent report of a church near RAF Wethersfield, which is an MOD facility in Essex, which houses hundreds of asylum seekers, where the local vicars are kept very busy, with around 20 baptisms happening over a single weekend. And I think we can safely assume, as you rightly just pointed out, that the reason they're doing this is because being a Christian is deemed a reason that it's not safe to return migrants to some countries. And all this is coming, of course, after Abdul Azidi, who is the main suspect in a horrific chemical attack that happened in London last week. He was given asylum on the basis that he had converted to Christianity and could not be returned to Afghanistan. But this all comes down to our broken asylum system. Our broken asylum system did actually reject him twice, which makes this kind of worse. But they failed to deport him. And then the Church of England played a critical role in his asylum application. Now, senior politicians, including Nigel Farage, have led a new criticism of the Church of England after an official document called called Asylum Seekers Guidance for the Church of England Clergy. And it revealed details of the role that they play in asylum applications. And this document is essentially a guide for vicars that includes sections on attending court appearances, writing letters of support, how to mount personal campaigns in the event of asylum claims being refused, just as an example. So, you know, this has caused a bit of outrage. The church is arguably complicit in encouraging illegal migrants to turn up at congregation on a Sunday and pretend essentially they're Christians to abuse the asylum system.
Mm-hmm. There's a running joke, Nat, this might make you laugh where I come from, that when you go to church in Northern Ireland, most people have things thrown on them, okay? So when you go to church, you have things thrown on you. You either have water thrown on you when you're a baby, you have confetti thrown on you when you're getting married, and then you have dirt thrown on you when they're burying you, okay? So most of the churches around here are packed to capacity for a baptism, a wedding, or a funeral any other time, and they're pretty much empty. So it must be interesting for the parishioners. Can you see all those old grannies out in rural England tottering along in their Zimmer frames? They've been used to 3 or 4 people listening to the vicar banging out a sermon on a Sunday morning, and all of a sudden they look backwards, and behind them there's maybe 60 or 70 ex-Muslims sitting there nodding their heads and doing God knows what in the back pews. Interesting state of play, don't you think?
It is. Yeah, just seems. Oh. Sorry, I was just going to say changing religion is a bit like changing gender now, a little bit maybe for attention and for the wrong reasons, I think now, Lee.
Yeah, I mean, to most people, this is, especially with the case of Abdul Azidi, it's been a huge wake-up call. We have a well-organised infrastructure network that is set up specifically to help game the system. It is a huge scandal, and people are starting to ask questions. You know, it is putting lives at risk, and it's encouraging illegal migrants to make that dangerous crossing across the channel, where, as we know, people have died trying. But they do this because the pull factor is already huge. We've had France, for example, complaining that we're far too generous to illegal migrants, which is encouraging them to make that crossing. And they know that we're a soft touch. And as we know, Abdul Azidi converted to Christianity. The Liverpool maternity hospital bomber converted to Christianity. But But I do want to just say that I don't just blame the Church of England. The system is set up clearly in a way that allows this to happen. Again, we have a broken asylum system. We are useless. It's ludicrous, and we have an overwhelmed asylum process, which isn't fit for purpose. We have one of the highest acceptance rates in Europe. The latest figures show about 75% of all applications are accepted. We have an army of lefty activist lawyers who dedicate themselves to frustrating the deportation process. We have an outdated ECHR who overall are elected representatives. We have our politicians are painfully weak, and we have a woke left civil service. There are charities embedded in the asylum system and based in Calais who are helping the migrants game the system. And now, of course, it's come to light that we have vicars who are converting asylum seekers to Christianity on an industrial scale. And what's even more frightening is we are on the verge of a Labour government. And a Labour government where MPs have previously signed letters and successfully managed to stop deportation flights. And some of the migrants who were being deported were dangerous criminals, and they actually went on to commit more crimes. I'm not holding out much hope for the end of this year when we're likely to have a Labour government.
Not just, I'll give you the last pitch in this one too. We had a discussion yesterday about, the whole business about immigration, about how, it can be skewed one way, it can be skewed the other way. The flip side to this is, of course, a lot of people are coming to the UK and Ireland thinking it's going to be the land that flows with milk and honey. And I've seen interviews this week where there are like tent cities appearing in Dublin where migrants are literally handed a tent, told to sleep on the streets. They have no accommodation for them, even though the Irish government is saying that the country's full. It's the same with Britain and even France. They may be banging on about Britain being too generous, but the French are still allowing people to set sail across the channel. They're allowing them to leave French territory. The governments are to blame for all this. We can't be pointing the finger at immigrants. We can't point the finger even at the church. The government is responsible for this. They're setting the whole damn thing up.
Well, yeah, and just like the whole kind of woke belief on religion, I feel like we're going backwards with it. I remember, kind of growing up, you respected people's religion, but it wasn't like a huge thing. We're now going that it affects your basic human right. You've got to change religion. Why can't we just go back to meeting someone, and I don't care what religion you are, but I respect your beliefs. But we can't do that now. It now makes you a better person apparently if you're a Christian and you can stay in our country. I couldn't care less if someone was a Muslim or a Christian or a Buddhist or anything.
Correct.
Everything seems to matter now. It's all identity politics, isn't it? So it just adds to the immigration problem, I think.
It does. Lee, we've got to put a pause on that now, but really appreciate you coming on and highlighting this, because it wasn't something that I was particularly aware of until this morning. But like everything else, every day and every week that goes by, there's new aspects to this whole debacle that's going on in the UK. So please, if you don't already do so, you can follow Lee on Twitter or X at addicted2 News, NEWZ.